Frankincense, one of the gifts given by the three wise men to the newborn Christ. As rare and as precious as gold, its smoke was thought to have divine powers that directly connected man to his God. From its source in Oman, an epic trade route was forged across Arabia to the Holy Lands, where it was shipped throughout the ancient world. And along the way, entire civilizations emerged from the desert and prospered. Now, 5,000 years after the frankincense trade began, I'm following in the footsteps of one of the great epic trade routes of ancient times. My journey started at the source of the world's finest frankincense in Oman. Look. With my own supply, I set off on the trail of the original traders and crossed the wild frontiers of Yemen.
We're going to be #1 target for the tribes to kidnap.
1 hour.
1 hour, yeah, no, I know. That's why we have to start.
Then I entered the mysterious world of Saudi Arabia.
You're going to have to give me intensive lessons on how to do this.
Where some of my preconceptions of life in the hidden kingdom were overturned and some were not.
That makes no sense.
From Saudi Arabia's coast, I crossed the Red Sea to join an even more ancient frankincense trade route in Egypt, where frankincense was used by the pharaohs to reach the afterlife and where it's still used today as part of Egypt's wildest Christian festival. Now I'm leaving Egypt to begin the final stage of my frankincense trail. From the port of Aqaba, I'm going to follow the trail to the ancient city of Petra and continue on the trade route towards Gaza before ending my journey in Bethlehem.
Although the modern independent country of Jordan is less than 70 years old, this area was once home to one of the ancient world's richest and most powerful civilizations, thanks to the incense trade. And my plan is to head to the middle of the desert to see their magnificent capital.
The route the frankincense traders would have taken towards Petra is miles from any road. But a railway line runs close to the original path. So I've come here to catch a lift on one of the longest freight trains in Arabia.
Assalamu alaikum. Do I come up here?
This train heads directly into some of Arabia's most spectacular landscape, a mountainous desert known as the Wadi Rum.
I don't know why it should be, but there's something quite exciting about going on a train that doesn't take passengers and kind of sneaking in with the drivers and taking off into the desert. Is it very difficult to drive, or it does just itself?
Not difficult.
Not difficult. You can sit, you can smoke, you can have a cup of tea. Life is good. I'd love some coffee, yes please. Jordanian coffee.
The train has brought me through the highest mountain range in Jordan. The camel caravans once had to negotiate their way through here, and I want to try and work out the most likely route they took. To do that, I need to leave the train.
Drive safely!
To get a better idea of what the frankincense traders were up against, I want to get a view of these mountains from above. So I'm meeting a pilot who I hope can help me find the route they would have taken.
great bus service here in the Wadi Rum.
By camel, this section of the route would have taken about 4 days. It'll be a lot quicker and easier by plane.
Hello! You are a girl who knows how to make an entrance.
Besma Al-Magri is an instructor from a flying club near here, so she knows every rock and valley of the Wadi Rum.
And this area is the Wadi Rum?
It is. We're actually going to be heading north from here, so more to the northwest. We're going to go up close so we can get an aerial view of how it looks like from up above.
Beautiful day. It is a beautiful day. And what we're flying down now is almost like a kind of massive sand motorway. I mean, it's a very clear highway through the mountain. It would have been these sorts of areas that the camel caravans would have used, these big, flat, easily navigable sand areas between the mountains.
Then Besma decides we should take a closer look.
It is just such a pleasure to see Wadi Rum from the air, although it feels like we're barely in the air.
Yes.
How high up are we?
We're approximately about 200 feet off the ground.
Is that legal?
Barely legal, barely legal.
What a landscape to travel through. It must have been just incredible walking through here with those great caravans and just being amongst this landscape.
Absolutely. The formation of the rocks are really incredible. They just go in every single direction.
Yeah, like nature gone mad.
These mountain ranges once channeled the frankincense traders along a single route northwest. At that time, this region was under the control of a local tribe known as the Nabateans. They guaranteed the safe passage of all the trade caravans that passed through their territory, but for a price. As a result, they became extremely wealthy. Their control of the frankincense trade route made the Nabateans the most powerful civilization in ancient Arabia, and at the center of their empire was their extraordinary capital city, Petra. On the outskirts of Petra is evidence of how the Nabateans administered the trade route. The remains of a 3,000-year-old building that acted as a checkpoint.
This is really important as far as the incense trail goes, because what we're looking at is a watchtower. What happened was the camels would come from the Wadi Rum where we were flying this morning, and they would come to this big wide area here which was known as a station. Now behind this area is Petra. You can see the little white point on top of the mountain there. Now the caravans didn't go to Petra because why on earth would you take camels that have done a huge journey already up over those mountains? So the guys stationed here at this watchtower would light fires, send smoke signals over to Petra to say the caravans are here, there's cash to be made.
And it was that steady stream of cash from the frankincense trade that built this, Petra. For close to 1,000 years, this was the capital city of the Nabateans, and at its peak, it was home to 30,000 people. It was once the most opulent city in all of Arabia. Built deep into the middle of a mountain range, the entrance to the city must be the most spectacular in the world. Known as the Seek, it's a twisting gorge that follows an ancient watercourse. Once you enter the Seek, you're trapped. There's only one way in and one way out. In Nabatean times, it was heavily guarded from the cliffs above, and no one would have reached the city unnoticed. At the end of the gorge, a spectacular glimpse of what lies ahead. It's Petra's most recognized landmark, known as the Treasury. Historian Jane Taylor joins me as it first comes into view.
What's wonderful is being able to see the treasury just little by little.
Just little glimpses.
I think it was intended really to gobsmack people as they came in. They were cowering after this long, narrow gorge, and then,
Legend has it that the treasury got its name when bandits hid their loot in the stone urn at its centre. Local Bedouin was said to have fired at the urn in the hope of breaking it open so it would spill its treasure. Their hopeful bullet holes peppered the ancient stone, but what they didn't realise was that the whole structure, including the urn, was carved from solid rock.
all these buildings, or not buildings, but carved monuments, were actually started from the top, so they would probably have lowered themselves by ropes of some kind.
Right from the top of
Right
there, and
from
then
the
sort of
top.
effectively abseiled down.
Yes, and then start chipping.
The Nabateans' extensive trading empire linked them to the money and cultural influence of the Mediterranean world.
So the very fact that they were key to all these trade routes crossing all over the peninsula then meant that they could have really spectacular architecture as well.
And they could afford to bring in the best artisans, so they probably had someone, one of the best masons from Alexandria who came and showed them how to do it.
Inside is a chamber which may have been used as a type of tomb.
If this was some sort of mausoleum, would there have been rituals here? Would there have been incense burnt here?
It's possible. We don't really know what happened. There seem to have been some sort of rituals because there's that little ablution basin there. But what went on inside, we don't know. But of course, I'm sure they were very careful about using the frankincense themselves because they wanted to sell it on to the Romans who used it as though there was no tomorrow.
This city may be one of the great treasures of the ancient world, and it's certainly Jordan's top tourist attraction. But it was also home to the local Bedouin community as recently as the 1980s. Rami was born in one of Petra's many caves. His mother, a New Zealander, married a local Bedouin.
It is an astonishing place to grow up, isn't it? I mean, look at this.
Yeah,
What a view you had.
That was my playground, I think. And this is the cave that we used to live in.
Wow.
Can we go in still? I mean,
I think so, it's open. I was born here. So this used to be our home. This used to be the cooking area here.
Okay.
Here, my dad bought my mum a small stove that they used here. In the daytime, all the bedding would be put over there, so this area would all be free.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then at night time, when it's time to sleep, they just take the bedding off and use it here.
And you shared this with your mum, your dad, and your elder sister?
Yeah, all of us. I can't remember much. It was great.
No.
Apparently, I set fire to the cave.
I can truly believe it. And it looks like, I mean, it hasn't been completely abandoned. Why?
No, they're using it now for the Petra night guard. So he sits here. It's got the best view of Petra, so the night guard can see the whole area from here.
When Rami's father died, his mother took her children to live in Australia. But after 10 years, Rami's returned to his roots.
And do you think, though, that what was really pulling you back was that Bedouin blood? Do you think the kind of spirit of your dad said, you've got to come back to Petra whether you like it or not, son?
I think it was the freedom.
Was it?
Yeah, the Bedouins, we love our freedom.
But freedom to choose a route was not an option for the frankincense traders. They needed the Nabateans' protection from bandits, and so they had to stick to one fixed path all the way to the Mediterranean. Their journey from Petra to Gaza took them around 1 week. So I can follow their trail into what is now Israel, I have to cross the border at Eilat before I can rejoin the traders' path. These days, very little trade passes between Jordan and Israel. This border crossing is mostly used by tourists.
Goodbye, Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. Hello, no man's land. Salam alaikum. Okay, shukran. Bye-bye. of all the border crossings I've done on this journey, and there have been many, this one is kind of the most significant because I've been through 5 Arab Islamic countries so far. But this isn't just a crossing from one country to another. It's a whole transition from one culture and one religion and one way of life to another that is so different.
Israeli border guards are renowned for conducting thorough interviews and searches of all foreigners, particularly those who've travelled across other Middle Eastern nations.
Well, I have to say, I'm quite surprised at how laid back this crossing is so far. I was slightly expecting a kind of barrage of Israeli soldiers. But all of them, it's gone pretty smoothly so far. Please follow the arrows. How can you follow the arrows when there's one in that direction and one in that direction? Right, well, we are nearing a security check, and I am suspecting that our cameras may be forcibly turned off at this point, but we'll see how far we can go. Now I have to say the right thing. Shalom?
Yeah.
Yeah, a few. In here? Okay. Well, that was all easy so far. Passport control. Hi. Shalom. Do you have information about me on your computer? Yes. Do you? What does it say? Nice things? Bye-bye. Right, I seem to be in Israel.
Less than a mile from the border is Eilat, Israel's only city on the Red Sea.
A lot of the buildings then are very modern, quite a modern city.
This is it's a new city. This is city. It came like before 25 years. It was nothing.
Nothing.
All the people make trouble in Israel. You know, when they get to court, the judge tell them, "Okay, your punishment is to go Eilat."
Really?
Yeah.
It was like kind of Israel, Siberia. Send you off to there.
Send Eilat. So we
Really?
sent lots of people, and this is how we develop Eilat.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a nice day.
I will.
It was incredible. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. See you. Bye-bye.
Today, the people of Israel come to Eilat to relax. I'm just staying for a night before I head back to the desert and my frankincense trail tomorrow.
Hi, Shalom. I've got a room booked.
Your name, please?
Humble, Humble.
Okay, your keys. Okay, now you do realize that you're checking in and it's Shabbat this weekend.
No, what's Shabbat?
It's the holy weekend of the Shabbos. I can call a rabbi here to explain it to you if you'd like.
That would be good, because I have no idea
All right,
what to do. Okay. Okay, one moment. Great, thank you. Do you
here
have
is-
my key? Oh, brilliant. Shall I grab my key?
Yeah, of course. Now, before he comes and I let you go, this is your key, room 937
Yeah.
on the 9th floor.
Wonderful, thank you.
Shalom Aleichem. Hi.
Hi, Shalom.
you? Shalom.
I'm fine.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I'm quite clean.
It's okay.
Do you not shake hands?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
okay. I'm sorry.
I wondered, I won't want to clutter up reception, but would it be possible for you to explain to me about Shabbat? Because it's not something I'm familiar with at all.
Oh, yeah, with pleasure.
Okay.
Pleasure, yeah.
Rabbi Yuval is the hotel's in-house rabbi. One of his main tasks is to ensure that the many rules of Shabbat, the Jewish holy day that begins at sunset each Friday, are observed.
What am I going to notice with Shabbat? What can I not do and can do?
First of all, you're not allowed to use any electric machine on Shabbat. You're not
Right.
allowed to drive, not to light a fire.
Can I dry my hair?
Nothing.
Really?
Nothing.
Can I not use the lift?
You can use, but there is a special one for Shabbat. It takes you by itself all the way to the...
How does it know? Do I say 9th floor?
No, it goes all the way up.
Can we go
and-
in it?
Yeah, please.
Okay, this one? Is
Yeah.
this the Shabbat one?
Yeah.
Everything's just automatic, is it?
Yes, it is, but now it's not Shabbat, so
So you can press the button?
yeah.
After sunrise? Oh, after sunset,
You're not
rather?
allowed to do this.
But you don't need to?
No, by itself. By itself, there is a special clock for the reception that put the elevator on Shabbat.
What happens if the elevator breaks?
If the elevator breaks, then we have a tiny problem.
My Shabbat tour extends to the kitchen, where there seems to be rules for everything.
Over here, you see?
Yeah.
That's a coffee machine.
Yeah.
On Shabbat, you're not allowed to use this. But,
Yeah.
you see the button over here?
Yeah.
When it's like this,
Yeah.
then it's for weekdays.
Yeah.
When the security takes it to the right side,
Yeah.
it's for Shabbat.
And it'll just work automatically?
For Shabbat, yeah. Especially for Shabbat. No, nothing to use, everything mechanic. No electric, nothing.
So a lever is fine because it's mechanical.
Mechanical.
But you can't press a button.
Nothing.
In that case, then you can open a fridge because that's a lever. It doesn't matter that it's an electrical piece of equipment.
You can open it, but at the fridge there's a problem. At the fridge you have a light.
Yeah.
So before Shabbat, just put something on the light just to take it off, and you can use it whatever you want.
But you're not physically switching on that light. You're just opening a door.
But you're doing something. It was off before. You did something. It's on. So there is something you did it.
Complicated.
If you get used to it, then we don't have a problem.
Where are we?
And down in the basement, Rabbi Yuval has something else to show me.
Am I allowed in here?
Yes, you are allowed, but your place is on the left side.
Women have to stay there?
Women stay on the left side and men on the right side.
Where do you go then?
My place is right here.
There. But they're not going to be able to see you.
No, they are, yes. They can see me.
You go and stand there. I'm going to
Please.
test this out. I can't see you. You're
No,
surrounded
you
by
can,
net
yeah, but
curtain.
I'm right here. You can open the...
What, look through the curtain?
A little bit, yeah.
That seems a little unfair. Why aren't we allowed to look at you?
It might... we need to have separation between...
So you might... Are you saying that if the women are too pretty, you might get distracted and that's a problem?
First of all, I'm not allowed to see if the woman is pretty or prettier, okay? It might be a problem.
Can you give me some sort of idea of what a Shabbat service is like? Do people sing hymns or there is singing?
You want to hear something?
Yeah.
Shalom aleichem malachei shalom.
Although I've only been here for a couple of hours, I'm struck by the way ancient Jewish traditions seem so integrated into modern-day life. The next morning, I'm back in territory once controlled by the ancient Nabatean Empire. The modern road follows the exact path of the ancient trail across a 6-mile-wide crater in the desert known as the Maktesh Ramon. But it suddenly ends at what appears to be an almost vertical cliff face.
The most direct route out from the bottom of the crater up to the top was obviously far too steep for camels, so the Nabateans were forced to bring all their engineering skills to task and build a camel-friendly road which zigzagged all the way up this cliff face.
The Nabateans directed the frankincense traders this way because it was the easiest route for them to guard.
Look at that.
The path here travels through wide open desert and allowed little chance for marauders to stage an ambush. And the view from the top meant that soldiers could keep a close eye on the camel caravan's progress.
This building would have been a checkpoint and a watchtower, and it was probably manned by soldiers who had done something absolutely awful, because although it's spectacular now, it must have been a really desolate and incredibly lonely posting.
From the top of this mountain pass, the frankincense traders only had 2 days of walking ahead of them before the end of their 2,000-mile journey to Gaza, and it was all downhill. And after covering most of the journey myself, I can just imagine their sense of relief.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. Right, I'm going to go and explore.
"30 miles outside Gaza are the ruins of Shifta. This was the final stop before the end of the trail. From here, most of the frankincense went to Gaza, where it was distributed across the Mediterranean Sea.
Gaza is just over that hill over there. And frustratingly, I can't go there because politically it's simply too dangerous at the moment. But my situation isn't unique. Gaza is such a strategic port that it's been under attack for millennia. So when caravans reached this point, they had a choice. If they couldn't go to Gaza, they could head to the southwest towards Alexandria, or they could take a route to the north. And that's where I'm headed.
70 miles from here is one of the world's most important religious centres, where frankincense has always been in demand, Jerusalem.
Jerusalem is a fascinating and complicated place. It's a city that's inspired passion so great that people have given up their lives for it. Both the Israelis and the Palestinians view this as their capital, and it has enormous significance for 3 separate religions.
The Muslim, Jewish and Christian communities each consider Jerusalem a sacred city. It was here the Muslims believe Muhammad ascended into heaven. For the Jews, it's from where God created the world. And for the Christians, it was in Jerusalem where Jesus rose from the dead. I've come to where more frankincense is burned in worship than in any other place in Jerusalem, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. This is one of the holiest sites in the Christian world because it's believed it's where Jesus was crucified and from where he was resurrected. The entire church has been built around what's thought to be his tomb. It's enclosed by a 16th century wooden shrine called the Holy Sepulchre. Five different branches of the Christian faith claim ownership to the church. Each one celebrates according to their own tradition, and there has been conflict. Although their prayers are spoken in different languages, they're all sanctified with frankincense every day of the year. Less than 5 minutes walk away from the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is another sacred site where a different prophet is believed to have ascended into heaven. Today, it's Jerusalem's best known and most controversial landmark.
For Muslims, Jerusalem, or Al-Quds as they call it, has huge holy significance because it has the most important site for them after Mecca and Medina. Under that beautiful golden dome is the rock where Muhammad is said to have stepped up into heaven. So for Muslims, this is the closest place on earth to paradise.
And I can't go there because it's been temporarily closed to non-Muslims, following another in a long line of disagreements between Muslim leaders and the Jewish government. It's one of the most contested territories on the planet. Both the Muslims and the Jews claim ownership of the land directly beneath the Golden Dome. Although crowned with a symbol of Islam, the Jews believe this is where God created the world and made it the site of their first temple. That temple was destroyed by the Babylonians and another built in its place, which was then destroyed by the Romans. I'm going to all that remains of the temple's foundation wall, which has become one of the most important pilgrimage sites for Jews the world over. According to Jewish law, the devoted are obligated to feel grief for the lost temple when they first approach what is today known as the Western Wall.
The Western Wall is the holiest place for Jews today. They believe that somehow the divine presence is trapped within the stones, so to come here and to pray and to physically touch the wall is as close to God as they can get on earth.
Many pilgrims leave prayers tucked in the cracks in the wall, a tradition believed to have started in the 18th century. When Barack Obama was here during his campaign trail, he too left a prayer, which was later removed and published to wide condemnation. The wall is segregated, so the camera crew have to stay outside as I go into the women's section.
It's a real crush. Some people are pressed right up against the wall, and standing here I can see, stuffed in the cracks, all the prayers that people have put in. And apparently, even if you can't get here yourself, you can send a prayer, either in the post, or there's even a dedicated fax line. And one of the officials here will come and put it in the wall for you.
I'm amazed by people's reactions here at the wall. It literally is a touchstone to an era when the temple that stood here was the center of Jewish life. When the temple was destroyed by the Romans, many sacred Jewish rituals were lost, including the burning of frankincense. But now one Jewish group has elaborate and seemingly impossible plans to rebuild the temple for the third time on the original site. Only then do they believe that frankincense can be offered again during a Jewish religious ceremony. I'm meeting a rabbi who's dedicated his whole life to this dream.
Hello.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you. You're Yehuda. Can I shake your hand?
Try.
Thank you very much. I'm never quite sure whether I'm allowed to or not.
Yehuda Glick's organisation has meticulously researched the exact building requirements outlined in Scripture to rebuild the Holy Temple. They have tens of millions of dollars pledged to start construction at short notice. Yehuda has even prepared a sacred mix of frankincense.
Oh, it is a lovely smell.
People would come to the temple, would want to meet God with each and every one of their five senses. They want to be close as possible. The most spiritual of our five senses is the smell. So when a person enters Jerusalem, he like breathes the holiness into his lungs. He smells it and he feels close. Here I am, getting close to God. They would sneeze from the smell of the incense coming from Jerusalem.
Now you're confusing me a little, because you're talking about this ritual as if it still happens, and then you're going into the past again. Is this a ritual that still goes on within Jewish ceremonies?
This took place every single day in the temple until 2,000 years ago, when the Romans destructed the temple, the Holy Temple. It will be renewed speedily, hopefully, as soon as possible, upon the rebuilding of the third temple. And then we will once again bring the incense daily to the altar. Here we have the incense altar in its actual size.
Exactly the same.
Made of acacia wood coated with gold. This
That's
is gold,
solid gold?
Real gold, yes. This is acacia wood coated with gold, ready to be used. As soon as I get that phone call, that
Which
tells me-
phone call? From God? From who?
One phone call from the government of Israel,
Yeah.
from the United Nations,
Yeah.
that we got permission to build. Then I'll give you a call. You'll help me carry the vessels, because the vessels here are ready to be used in the third temple.
Can we go and see the proposed site?
Let's go.
This way?
Yep.
Wow, climbing up into the sky.
Now we're into the sun, but actually to see the foundation stone of where God begins the creation of the world. Don't take a picture of the mess. Take a picture of the mess there.
What are you referring to as a mess?
I would say the fact that the Jewish people cannot freely go to where the holiest place for the Jewish people in the world, and the fact that the Muslims took over the entire site. And what we're trying to do is trying to promote a totally different message, a message that the entire world, including Muslims, including Christians, unite around one house of prayer.
And that one house of prayer is going to be where then?
It's located exactly where the Dome of the Rock is. The dome there is protecting the rock, and that rock is the Holy of Holies.
What you want to do is destroy the Dome of the Rock and build the third temple.
What we would like to do is build the third temple.
I wish I could believe that it could happen, but what I think is if you try and build what is to the outside world a Jewish temple on a Muslim site, all that's going to happen is it's going to cause a war. Is it worth it?
You know what it'll do? This will do to employment, to poor Arabs, to poor Jews, to bringing and raising the entire economy of the State of Israel, raising and of course, making much more delicate the spiritual relationship between mankind and God.
I don't know if Yehuda will ever have the chance to burn frankincense on the Temple Mount, but in a city that's been captured and recaptured 44 times by conquerors of different faiths, you never know. Since I started my journey, frankincense has been used in ceremonies and blessings across 6 nations. Now I want to offer some of my Omani frankincense that I've carried for nearly 2,000 miles to be used in perhaps the most famous religious celebration in the world.
Incense is still key to many Christian services, not least the Mass that's celebrated at midnight on December the 24th. It was also, of course, one of the gifts brought by the 3 wise men to a newborn baby in Bethlehem. So, what more fitting end to my journey than to see my incense burnt at the Church of the Nativity on Christmas Eve?
This is the office of the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, a Catholic priest who is second in line to the Pope. Tomorrow he leaves for Bethlehem to take the midnight mass, but before he goes, his assistants have arranged for me to have a 5-minute audience.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. So, how do I address your beatitude? Okay.
I've never met a patriarch before. It's a little overwhelming.
Good morning.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Your Beatitude.
Good morning.
Good
Most
morning.
welcome.
Thank you.
Great. We welcome you. We welcome your initiatives. We bless you and your activity. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord bless
You're
you.
very, very kind to see us. Thank you.
Most welcome.
I've brought you this frankincense that I brought in Oman.
Great.
So it's travelled with me many, many miles. And I wondered if you might be able to mix it with the incense that you'll use in the Mass in the Church of the Nativity on Christmas Eve.
Thank you. We will mix it, and we are grateful for this initiative. It is precious for us, means a lot for us. The wise men used to come from the Orient. This year we make an exception. The wise people come from England and from America. Yeah.
And the significance of burning it during the Mass, what is that?
Significant that we obey, we adore the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
It was done for kings. We will do it, and we hope that kingdom of God will reign everywhere with his peace, with his benediction for all of the region.
I think it will be now.
God
Thank you
bless.
so much.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
God bless.
Happy Christmas.
Tomorrow, on Christmas Eve, the Patriarch will be celebrating the Nativity Mass, one of the biggest events in the Christian world. I'm going to the small village outside Jerusalem where it's being held, Bethlehem, in the West Bank, formerly known as Palestine. But to get there isn't easy. The Palestinians are separated from Israel by one of the most tightly controlled crossings in the world. Luckily for me, it's a quiet day, and I'm able to walk straight across and meet a local journalist who's going to escort me into Bethlehem.
Are you Ali?
Yes.
Oh,
Hi, how are you?
very well. Really nice
welcome
to
to
see
Bethlehem.
you. Thank you very much. Oh,
Welcome to Palestine again.
oh, thank you. Shukran. This is my frankincense.
Oh my God.
So I hope maybe your family will like some or something.
Hopefully.
This is the final leg of my journey, but for the first time, I'm not in a place that's officially recognized as a country. The West Bank is occupied territory, captured by Israel more than 40 years ago. The Palestinians see it as part of their historic and future state of Palestine. Today, it's separated from Israel by a vast barrier, built, they say, on Palestinian land.
It separates Bethlehem and it is in the lands of Bethlehem. You see there?
Yeah.
It's in the lands of Bethlehem.
It's actually in Palestine.
In
itself.
Palestine. It was planned to be, according to the Israelis, to ensure security for the Israeli people from the Palestinian suicide attackers.
And they have a point, don't they? Because there have been many Palestinian attackers.
If they have a point, okay,
Yeah.
there's no problem. But build your wall on your borders.
Okay,
Now,
the problem is that they've built it on Palestinian
On
land.
Palestine. Only 19% was built on the borders line.
Bethlehem is a Palestinian city
Yes,
within the Palestinian territory,
yes,
but it's still enclosed in a wall.
yes. And all the Palestinian cities are closed in the wall.
Every city in the West Bank is enclosed by a wall. You have no freedom of movement whatsoever.
Ever, no way. From one city to another, you need to pass checkpoints.
Run by who?
By the Israelis, of course.
Ali tells me this was once a thriving neighborhood. Now the only signs of life come from graffiti artists. Although their sentiment is appreciated by the locals, their artworks can't disguise the fact that Palestinians are effectively prisoners in their own land.
Wow.
Go
Across
ahead
here?
and have a look. You will see the perfect view from here.
Wow.
The barrier is currently over 250 miles long and is still under construction. It's patrolled 24 hours of the day, every day of the year, by the Israeli Defense Force.
The piece of land right in front of us with all the trees on, is
a
that Palestinian?
Palestinian lands.
Right.
It's a Palestinian lands. All the olive lands here
Yeah.
are Palestinian. This is the Aida refugee camp there.
Right.
It's one of the 3 refugee camps in Bethlehem area
Refugees from what?
from what is now called Israel.
Okay,
And
so
I'm one of them.
how can you still describe the area that you live in as a refugee camp?
The refugees left their villages
Yeah.
having nothing with them. They left the lands, so these people became very poor. And the opportunities in this country are very, very, very few. So it isn't easy for you to, let's say, to have a good life. No way.
If life is so impossible living in here, why don't you leave? Why don't you go to, I don't know, to Europe or to other parts of the Middle East? Surely you'd be welcome there.
Why to go? It's our land. If we have few opportunities nowadays, I'm sure we are going to create our opportunities in the future because we have the future.
So much that we hear about the West Bank is associated with bad news, and it hadn't occurred to me that Bethlehem could be so vibrant. But since the barrier was constructed, the people here have become more and more isolated from the outside world. And so Christmas has become really important to this mostly Muslim community. Tomorrow, they're holding a parade to celebrate the arrival of the Patriarch and Christians from around the world.
It's so strange being in the Middle East and seeing things like Father Christmases up in the window, isn't it?
It's wonderful. And you will see a lot people wearing such clothes in the
Really,
streets.
we're
and
wearing Santa Claus outfits?
and distributing sweets for
Oh,
the kids
really?
and people. Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
how lovely. Oh, look, and there are more here.
Yeah. The Christianity was born here. What is strange?
I know,
No,
but I
no.
suppose because all my experiences of the Middle East so far, apart from Jerusalem, have been entirely Islamic. So it is suddenly odd to see these little shops, I know, with their Christmas decorations in the window.
Look, the Christmas, of course, the Christmas is a Christian occasion.
Yeah.
But for us, the Palestinian, the Christian, the Christmas is a national occasion. We celebrate it as a national occasion.
It'll be a
And we
national
are-
holiday
look,
for everybody?
We are very proud
Yeah.
that Jesus is a Palestinian. We are very proud. Look, I'm not.
Wowza, you could cause all sorts of trouble with that.
No, it's not a trouble.
Okay,
Isn't he a Palestinian?
I don't know.
He's a Palestinian. He was born here.
Okay.
He's a Palestinian. We are very proud of our prophet.
And from the sound of it, Palestinians and the people of Bethlehem really have taken the Christmas story to heart. Ali's left me to follow the strained tune of jingle bells to a schoolyard. These students belong to 1/5 of the population here in Bethlehem who are Christian. Their bagpipes are a hangover from the days when the British Army occupied Palestine between 1920 and 1948.
My name's Kate. Hello, I'm so sorry just to walk in here, but I heard it on the street. This is amazing.
We are training for tomorrow. As you see,
You're going to take part in the parade tomorrow?
Yes. My name is Imad Abu Sada.
Very nice to meet you,
I am
Imad.
the leader of my group.
Of the band.
Yes. It's very difficult.
But why did you choose bagpipes of all things? They're impossible things to play.
What we want to do. This is life.
You're Palestinians. You never make anything easy. Is that right?
Everything is difficult here in our country. Everything. Even if I want to breathe the air, it's very difficult to breathe it. If you want to come and to see, you can.
Let me come. I'm going to walk with you.
I didn't leave it.
Jingle bells is never going to sing the same for me. Never again.
In the centre of Bethlehem is the Church of the Nativity, the oldest continuously operating church in the world. According to Christian tradition, it's built above the place where Jesus was born. The small entrance to the church is known as the Door of Humility. It leads directly to the oldest part of the building, the Basilica of the Nativity. It was first constructed 500 years after Christ's death by the Romans. Since then, the church has been endlessly rebuilt, and today it's administered jointly by 3 churches: the Greek Orthodox, the Roman Catholic, and the Armenian Apostolic. At the far end of the basilica, beneath the altar, is said to be the actual birthplace of Jesus, known as the Grotto of the Nativity. Now that I'm here, it's not hard to imagine 3 kings kneeling down in front of an infant, offering their gifts from afar, and the aroma of frankincense filling the air. This is one of the most holy sites of pilgrimage for Christians from around the world. It's the day before Christmas, and it's the last day of my journey on the Frankincense Trail.
Wow! What a contrast to yesterday. The square was completely empty and there were hardly any signs of Christmas at all, apart from a couple of plastic Father Christmases. And now, it really has started. Christmas has come to Bethlehem, along with bagpipes and drums.
The parade is being held to celebrate the Patriarch's imminent arrival from Jerusalem. Hopefully, he won't have forgotten to bring my frankincense with him.
That's just too weird to have jingle bells and sort of Christmassy songs on one side and the call to prayer, Muslim call to prayer on the other. I think that sums up Palestine. Fine, how are you?
Thank you.
It's wonderful.
Yes, it's really wonderful.
How is everyone feeling? Good?
Yeah, they are feeling cold only.
Cold, yeah, I bet.
And they feel tired.
And tired. But they look wonderful. The uniform is very smart.
Thank you.
Great. I can't wait to see them perform.
And perform they do, along with other teenagers from the Christian community. This is the biggest event of their year.
Never believed that this is a country that's seen so much strife and so much war in very, very recent times. And all you can feel at the moment is this kind of sense of joy and excitement. It's just fantastic.
And then the mood suddenly changes as waves of security men signal the arrival of the Patriarch.
Okay. Well, as you can see, the Patriarch is coming, and so is every security man in Palestine, it feels like. We're absolutely crushed in here, trying to get a view of him.
Accompanied by high-ranking priests from around the globe, pilgrims and the world's media, the Patriarch leads a tidal wave of people inside the Church of the Nativity. There's only limited space, and it's every person for themselves.
We've escaped the crush from the outside. There's still a huge crush here, and we've got into the church. And what I'm hoping, I think we might need to go that way actually, what I'm hoping is that we might be able to see him actually using my incense to prepare for the Mass tonight. But as you can see, there's the entire world's press here. There are cameras and slightly stroppy cameramen, all trying to get the shot. It's amazing we've got this far, actually.
Somehow, I'm amongst the first to make it into the church where the Mass of the Nativity is going to be held. And there's no going back. Hundreds more people crowd in behind me, eagerly awaiting the arrival of the Patriarch. While he's getting dressed in his vestments, my frankincense is added to the sacred censer. Like the pharaohs and emperors of ancient times, Catholic priests use frankincense smoke to send prayers to their God. Then the Patriarch begins the service.
My frankincense has just made the final leg of its journey with the Patriarch.
As cameras begin to transmit the Mass across the globe, political leaders from the region are rushed in. Tonight, Christians, Muslims and Jews each sit side by side. 2,000 tickets have been sold to attend this service, but there are even more people outside, desperate to get in. Drawn from around the world by faith, by history, and even by curiosity, the sweet-smelling smoke of frankincense envelops us all. It's hard to believe that I've reached the end of my journey.
This is frankincense.
When I began 2,000 miles away with Musalem, the frankincense harvester, I started on the path that first linked Arabia with the Western world, and I wondered how I was ever going to make it.
How are you doing with the gun?
The gun is pretty heavy.
For 3,000 years, the traders carried frankincense northwards, first across Arabia's vast deserts, and then the Red Sea. In Egypt, it was delivered along the Nile and used in every one of the pharaoh's temples for millennia. But with the fall of the Roman Empire, the great frankincense trade routes faded from the map. Along every step of my journey, I found frankincense still entwined in the lives of the people along the trail. Afra blessed her baby with its smoke. Its fragrance welcomed Saudi Arabian chiefs. And in its flames, Sheikh Fuad searched for evil spirits. Some of the traditions I saw on my journey were thrilling.
Oh, that had to have hurt.
Some celebrated life, while others worshipped death. But despite the danger of kidnap, the searing desert heat and the 24-hour days of travel, the toughest challenge I faced was overcoming my own preconceptions. From one end of Arabia to the other and along the length of the Nile, the 5,000-year-old history of the frankincense trail has revealed the true spirit of the modern Middle East.
Frankincense has brought great hardship and great reward. Men have fought for it, died for it, and mighty civilizations have been built on the back of it. It was revered by emperors, pharaohs, and kings, and for 2,000 years its perfumed homes warded off evil spirits and connected people with their gods. And today, in this small Palestinian town, it's united people in their celebration of Christmas. Isn't it incredible what the sap of a little gnarled tree can do?
Join Joanna Lumley in the land of the Northern Lights. That's tomorrow at 6 on BBC HD.